So in the Northern Hemisphere, well, we're in the thick of the busiest travel periods, the summer season. Here in the US, the indications are of a slow start, a sluggish beginning. Local visitor boards in top destinations are reporting numbers are down for occupancies. Las Vegas down 5.5% in room bookings, sold 12% in Houston. Part of the wider dip in overseas tourism in the United States. According to WTTC, the World Travel and Tourism Council predicts the US will lose around $12.5 billion in international visitor spending this year. Radisson Hotels Group operates more than 1,500 hotels around the world. As the CEO, good friend Federico González, joins me now from Brussels. I thought you'd had enough to do with running your company, but you're the author of the book, Living and Working Abroad, a survival guide, which is a fascinating look. As somebody like myself who has lived and worked overseas, let's deal first of all with what you're seeing in terms of numbers. Then we'll talk about the book. Let's just talk about this. Is it a slow start? I know the numbers are high because it is the summer, but if we look at transatlantic shifts and trends, what are we seeing?
Good evening, Richard. Good evening, everybody. I think when you look around the world, I think the trends you are mentioning is really true. Is happening. There is a slowdown, I think, on both on the inbound and outbound in most of the territories in the world. I think definitely that's driven by uncertainty. There is a higher level of uncertainty. And I think uncertainty affects first and most the long haul travel, because obviously nobody wants to spend or to be in a place where you have some risk after 1 week or two. I think, however, when you look to the world, there are different trends. I think if you look to India, for example, India is doing extremely well, both inbound and outbound. China, that has been slow during the last 2 years, is starting to see a recovery both on inbound and outbound. As you said, sure. The US is up in. Sorry, yeah.
No, I wanted to talk about the summer's going to be okay. It's really once we get to the autumn and the winter, isn't it? Because now we're going to see overcapacity, underutilization, and that's when the trouble hits.
That's right, and I think it's particularly also linked to some segments. I think one of the segments that is most important during that period is actually all the meeting and events and conventions business. That's the business that I would say at a global level is suffering more from the typical kind of events you would have by the end of the year, by October, November, to talk about the next year. And I think also we are seeing some companies, or many, if not all companies around the world, also trying to reduce costs, reduce travel expenses, and actually that will affect and possibly, as you say, October, November.
I want to talk about the book, Living and Working Abroad. It resonated with me.
Yes.
Particularly, there is a huge difference between visiting. I don't care if you visit often, and then actually going and living in another country. And it really is about cultural difference, isn't it? You can all speak the same language and you can still have got no idea what people are talking about. What's been the biggest shock that you've experienced?
Well, I think there are way too many, I would say. I think I've had the luxury of living in Sweden and Portugal, two very different countries to my home country, Spain, in Brussels or in France. So I think shocks you would have, in a negative and in a positive way many times. But I would say the biggest discovery I think I have had is that 90% of the issues or problems you face when you go and live abroad are driven by communications and by lack of understanding of what the other one is trying to say, or lack of empathy in trying to put yourself in the position of the other. However, when you go deeper and try to understand and try to really, and I always make the difference, as you say, when you visit a place, you can have sympathy, okay, how nice they are, okay, how funny this is. When you leave, sympathy is not enough. You really need to put yourself in the other people's place, try to understand not only how they are, but why they are like that. And I think the moment you learn the why is when the adventure becomes more fascinating.
Does this make you more sympathetic when sending your senior directorate managers overseas? Because in your business, you can be Asia for 5 years, Europe for 5 years, US for 3 years, on and on and on. It's the nature of the GMs, area GMs, country managers. Are you now more empathetic to them?
Well, I've lived in my own skin, you know, all the problems that means. Obviously, usually when you travel like that, you don't travel alone, you travel with your family. Life becomes more complex. You lose the support many times you have in your home country of family and friends. And yes, I think our company, Radisson, and I think many other companies, we all make an effort to try to help and accompany, and also understand that I think it's something very important, that is the journey of working and living abroad, as anything in life, is never perfect. There are times where you need to bring someone back because it's not working, because the family is maybe suffering. And I think having that flexibility in mind, I think makes the journey of anybody who we ask to go to a different destination, you know, something more bearable, I would say.
Is there one part of the world, one place, Federico, I've known you a long time, where you'd like to live where you have not?
I would tell you more than 20 countries, and I hope the day I retire, I will go with my wife and live for some periods, okay, in some of these countries, if life allows. Because I think the experience of being in a place more than 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, I think helps you enjoy the experience and learn. You know, I think you make many mistakes when you travel around the world, and I think, but you learn from those mistakes, and I think that is an amazing and very enriching experience.
That sound of screaming we heard, that was your wife in the background, I think, the thought of another 20 or 30 places to go and live. Good to see you, sir. We'll catch up in Brussels, London, or somewhere down route. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. See you soon. Thank you.
President's Business. President.